Okay, anime question of the week.
All right.
Now, I'm gonna get a little. I'm not even gonna call it it's anime slash nerd question of the week. Okay,
Okay.
I'm gonna ask you a question, but then I have to add context to it. Okay.
Okay.
So, would you rather have now? I'm gonna add context. Key from Dragon Ball, like Dragon Ball Z, the whole Dragon Ball universe. Key, right? Or would you rather have Force from Star Wars? Now, on top of that, this isn't something that say you pick one and you snap your fingers and you become really great at it. You're not a Super Saiyan. You're also not that you're not the strongest Force user in the world, but you weren't brought together by the Metachlorians. Like you have to actually, when you have it, you have to work and master it to get it better.
Yeah.
If you're lazy and you don't work on it, then you're not going to have the good use of it.
Yeah.
So you actually have to work to get good at it. But you're not a Super Saiyan. You're not Anakin Skywalker.
I got you.
know. Yeah,
You're not.
so
You
would
don't have like a huge wealth of the Mandalorians, or what is it called?
Yeah, the Metachlorians. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, you could get really good at using the Force,
but
or
it
Ki,
takes a
but
long
you're not
time.
you're not a main character. Like, let's be honest.
I think the easiest answer is honestly going to be Key, because from what I know about the Force, like even though it's great, even though a lot of people who have access to the Force, it takes decades upon training and what's like not therapy, what's it meditating, like you got to go do a lot of meditation. If you are strong enough, or if you have the right connections, maybe you can eventually reach a point where you're going to start to even speak to Force ghosts and continue on in your journey. It takes a lot to get to that point, or you can just get the cheat codes from the jump like Anakin did. But not everyone's Anakin, like you said. I'm not Anakin in this situation. With Ki, once you understand Ki and you can harness your Ki and be able to use Ki blasts and things such as that, you're already a step above everyone else, and you can just continue fighting. Fighting is going to continue to build up your Ki. But
who are you fighting though?
Martial arts tournaments. Like the original Dragon Ball is martial arts tournament. Goku only became as strong as he was through all the training he did through Dragon Ball. They just started adding bigger threats.
Maybe this is my fault, but are you assuming you're in that world with that? Like you're picking the world? Because I'm talking about like right now, here.
Oh, in this world?
If somebody gave you an option, you could have Ki or you could have the Force. Like pick one, but you have to work on it to train it. Because me, like realistically, because I know so much about the Star Wars universe and so much about the Force, yes, it does take a long time to master it, but the Force that they show in the movies is not the Force. Like, yeah, it's the Force, don't get me wrong, like it's the Force, but it's not the Force. They don't show it exactly how it's meant to be. It's a lot easier to use it if you're constantly using it. So like people will struggle to pick up a cup, but then they'll jump leaps and bounds. Like the way they're portraying the Force in the show is not right. How they did, I don't know if you ever watched it, but the Obi-Wan Kenobi show, when Darth Vader pulled the ship down and ripped it apart, that was a good Force feat. But in the aspects of the books and everything else, that was actually not that big of a Force feat. Was it badass to watch? Absolutely. And people were like, damn, that's why he's the GOAT, like blah, blah, blah. Like, true, he is. He's Anakin Skywalker. He is quite literally the best Force user on the planet, or in the galaxy. But that's not that great of a Force feat if you really know about the Force. The problem with the movies and the TV shows is they show that it's a struggle to use the Force. But if you are constantly meditating and you're constantly using it, it becomes easier over time. So something that's more practical in our world would obviously be the Force, because hell, I mean, you could just pick up shit, you could fucking move one thing, you could pick up stuff and move it. Like it'd be a lot easier. Now, it probably will take a lot longer than Ki to master. Absolutely. But practicality wise, you know, because with Ki, like I guess you could go to a martial arts tournament here in the real world and like
or you can go train at a dojo,
win a bunch of money, I guess, you know, and like go become a professional fighter, even though I don't really know shit about fighting. But if I can read Ki and I have Ki, then I'm fucking straight. But
Ki is honestly along the same pathing though. Like you still have to meditate as well. You still got to train your mind as well. Once you've harnessed it, like you're not just shooting Ki blasts, Kamehamehas all over the world. You're stronger. Your body, your mind, everything about you has become stronger, and that Ki can be multiplied through more training, through more meditation, through more time. I think, yes, practicality. Just adding on that bonus, I definitely understand if I was at a good point of a Force user, then I would definitely choose Force. Easy. But if I got to train 10, 20, 30 years just to get to a good point, I would take the easier route of Ki.
It's honestly not that long, and the Force trains your body as well. You are faster, you have Force resistance, you can become stronger. Hell, sometimes, I mean, realistically, if you not really master the Force, but if you're good at it, you don't need to be stronger. You can literally lift up almost anything. Like I said, how they portray it is not exactly like there's parts in books where people would go to punch somebody and they would use the Force to harden that area or to block that area. You know what I'm saying? Like they don't portray it. They don't portray it in the movies and the shows the way it's supposed to be. The only time I've ever seen it portrayed realistically was the prequels. So I guess they considered the sequels, the old ones before it got transferred to Disney. And then sometimes in the show, but mostly in the books. That's like the books. And you can say like, oh, well, he sold it to Disney, so whatever Disney says is canon. Like, cool, sure. It's Disney's joint now. I get it. But like how we were first given the Force, it's a lot more. You can speed run. You can fucking run up. You could do Hulk style jumps. You can run up fucking walls. Like you can do crazy shit with the Force. They just never show it.
Yeah.
They just never show people doing the shit. You know what I'm saying? But there's also little kids that aren't main characters that can lift a broom off the floor or lift a cup and bring it to them, or I could grab the TV remote, like just for being 10 years old. You know what I'm saying? A 10-year-old that's never meditated or anything. So I do agree with you. Ki would be easier, 100%. But the Force is not going to take 20 or 30 years. If you're diligent and you train like you would train in Ki, just train the same way, you could not master it, but you could get good at it to where it benefits you in life within maybe 5 years, 5 to 10 years. Like 5 to 10 years, you could get good at it where it benefits you the most. Then mastering the Force would definitely be a Yoda level 900 year fucking style of master.
Well, then I blame the portrayal of the Force in the movies and the series because just seems like it takes so long. Like Yoda,
and you can barely
Force
do anything.
master, and like he's just picking up things, and even still he struggles with things,
which is not
until like closer to his death is when he's like oh so powerful. But even then, he's still not so powerful because Anakin's even more stronger than him. So it's just like okay, I'm just gonna take Ki. Krillin became the strongest man in the world just from learning Ki. So I'm gonna take the Krillin route.
real as shit. Like if you actually see the Force feats in the books and like comics and shit, that doesn't they I don't know why they did it, because even under George Lucas's command, they still portrayed the Force as less than what it was in the books. I don't know why he chose to go that way, but they still had more than these movies that are coming out under Disney. Like you could, if you remember back then when they had Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon, like they were Force running, they were they were doing crazy shit. And now in these new books, it's like they're struggling to pick up some pebbles or some rocks. You know what I'm saying? But then they show Kylo Ren stopping a laser bolt in midair, and it's like you got to pick one. Is the Force? Can you use the Force practically, or is it super hard to use? Like
it seems like it's super hard to use, and it's just ones and choosies who are able to use it well.
Yeah,
and that's
and it's not supposed to be. And I'm glad that I've opened your eyes to that, because it's not supposed to be. It is. Don't get me wrong. You do need training. For people watching this, you do need the training. Absolutely, you need to train, but it's not as hard as people think if you are actually training. It's like working out. It's like going to the gym. It's like reading or studying for an exam. Like you just have to do it. You just have to actually do this shit. You can't just be like, oh, I got the Force. Come here, cup. Like, you know. But if there's 10-year-olds who have never trained a day in their life and they can pick shit up off the floor and levitate a cup here and there, that's practical to me. I'm sorry. Like,
but isn't that still linked to your Mandalorian account?
So technically your Force abilities, or your, I guess you call it your Azpul, I guess would be how high your Metachlorian count is at the moment of your birth. But I mean we're just talking about if somebody gave us the Force abilities, so it's really determined and based off our will. So we don't have Metachlorians because we're human beings, and they call Metachlorians the soul, so it'd really be our soul. But like based off your determination and your will, can you move that cup? Can you move that fucking TV remote? Like if you really fucking wanted that shit, you're gonna fucking get it. So you know what I'm saying? So we don't have Metachlorians, but I'm sure if I was born, I'd be, fucking banging it out with the big bads.
I wonder if that holds any weight on this what if. So you would also have to be born with a high account, or account because not normal people. I don't know the whole lore behind it, but are normal people? Is everyone born with it? Okay, everyone's already born with it.
Every single person has a metachlorine count, but you have to have a high enough metachlorine count to be. I wouldn't say a prodigy in the Force, but know that you have the Force, and the Jedi Council themselves are the ones that they meditate and they find Force sensitive. It's like your metachlorine count is above a little. It could be a little above average. They'll find you because you're Force sensitive and they can feel you in the Force. They'll come and train you to be a Jedi.
So that's what it means to be Force sensitive. So, just have a higher
you have a higher count than others. Yeah. You're able, something Yoda said in a book like a long time ago, he said anybody's able to use the Force if they train hard enough, but then there's some who are destined to use it for bigger things. And so it's like everybody has the metachlorine count.
So what makes you a Jedi then? Just training?
I mean, you're training. I mean, essentially if they bring you you have to be young enough. There's like a whole book. I actually have the books over there, the Sith handbook, Jedi handbook, and Bounty Hunter handbook. But
the Sith handbook.
Don't worry about it. Box set.
All right, got
it. But no, like it's essentially like you have to be young enough for one, because they said Anakin was too old. Because your mind is already preconceived with notions of evil, terror, horror. Like if you have any fear, anger in your body, he saw his mom get fucking enslaved. Like, he already has those mental images. But if you're young enough, and here's the thing, and here's the hypocrisy of the Jedi Order, is they are not warriors and they don't like to influence the populace, yet they want kids to become Jedi that are young enough to be influenced. Like they want them
child soldiers.
They want them to be influenced, so when they grow up, they'll do exactly what they want, how they want. That's also why Obi-Wan was like, he knew something was wrong with the Jedi Order, just like Qui-Gon, his master, did. And was like, there's that big conspiracy, like if Qui-Gon survived the attack when they fought Darth Maul, would Qui-Gon have joined Count Dooku? Because Count Dooku wasn't really doing anything bad. Like, was he creating an army? Absolutely. Was he trying to overthrow the Jedi Council in a non-lethal way? Yes, but he was like, Qui-Gon would have joined me if he was still alive. Obi-Wan was like, no, he wouldn't. But you read about Qui-Gon and you find out about his past and shit, like, Qui-Gon would have probably been there, and he probably would have made it less violent than it turned out to be, because the Jedi Order was corrupt. Like,
that was clear. That was apparent.
Darth Vader brought balance to the Force. Like, there was only one Force user and one Sith left on the planet, in the galaxy. So I mean, he did what he was supposed to. So, but bringing it back, if as somebody who's a human being now, it wouldn't be that hard to actually, like, if God came down or angel came down and said, Force Cookie, pick one, give me the Force. It's up to you and your determination and your will if you're going to get stronger in it. If you sit around and do nothing, hell, if I found out the Force, I'd be fucking looking at cups all day long and being like,
oh yeah, you understand the Force, the ins and outs, so that's why it's probably a much easier choice. Me, it's still, I'm just going off of, Keith.
Okay.
Definitely.
I'm gonna see you on the Channel 5 News, like, first man to ever run the gauntlet in the martial arts tournament, beats every single competitor. He's like, his history record is 0-0-0. What? He's never fought before? Wait,
never.
what?
Never.
Not once. Okay, well, it looks like he beat 25 people in a row.